Morning and welcome Rotarians and guests. Welcome to our second meeting. I think is this our second meeting of the year, or is maybe it's our third? Excuse me. January 21st, 2026. I'm your Sergeant of Arms, Tom Tobin. So happy to see you all here. I'll tell you what, let's start out with an invocation. I didn't ask anyone today, so I'm going to take the lead if I may. If you'll join me, or stand, please. We stay focused on the objectives we have for the world: peace, tranquility, a true brotherhood of man, freedom from hunger, from oppression, from sickness, the freedom to choose our own destinies. We reaffirm our commitments to our simple Rotary four-way test for all we do and support. We reaffirm our commitment to high ethics in all we do, and we give thanks for all the blessings, opportunities, and responsibilities that befall us as Rotarians. We start this year with optimism, renewed energy, and a commitment to service to you and our fellow men and women. Please, Lord of the universe, help us to so serve. Amen. All right, and the pledge, if you'll join me. Here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, truth. Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right. Just one quick thing, because several of you asked. My dad is doing very well. As a matter of fact, he's doing so well, his pneumonia is pretty much gone, and they're kicking him out of Laurel Lake on Thursday, it looks like. So it's, once again, the resiliency. This guy's amazing. So here you go. Keith?
Thank you, Tom, and it's great to hear that your dad's doing well. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Rotary meeting on this fine, warm, sunny day here in northeastern Ohio. Oh, I like the sound of my voice, Tom. I mean, I sound like the Almighty calling down from high, it builds up my ego. So, in any case, I will try to tone it down just a little bit. So just a couple of quick announcements. Just want to make sure you know our next week's meeting will be here in the auditorium. We'll be having a club and foundation presentation, just kind of reviewing the last 6 months of our fiscal year, as well as taking a look ahead to the next 6 months. So we're looking forward to doing that. Hopefully we'll have a few other things to do during that presentation as well. I also want to remind everyone that we are in the process of collecting gloves and hats and scarves and all the things that keep people warm for Haven of Rest Ministries. It's obviously, we know it's been pretty cold out there the last couple of days, and there's people out there that are homeless that really could use something to help keep them warm. So please check and see if you have anything that you could donate. Bring it into the club here, or I know Terry Bortnick is heading it up as usual, so thank you, Terry, for your efforts in that area. We will be having a Hudson Rotary Foundation Board of Directors meeting, which is immediately following this meeting out in the dining hall. So all are welcome to attend the meeting, but again, we will be having our Foundation Board of Directors meeting immediately after this meeting. So with that, I am excited to bring Brittany from our Service Learning partnership at the Hudson High School up to talk about, and Gina, I didn't see you there. Gina, my apologies. Sorry, you slipped in there on me. It's good to see you as well. But we have our service learning presentation for the month, so we'll turn it on over to Brittany and Gina.
Thank you so much.
Very well.
Good morning, everyone. Hi. So just to let you know, we do unfortunately only have one student with us today. We got a very late night text. Our second student, Chelsea, unfortunately did get sick last night, and so she's not able to be here with us. But before I introduce Natalia, I do want to let everyone know that we are officially starting interviews for next year in a week. We had to push everything back. Our timeline's a little weird because of the snow days. But I believe we're starting next week. Their applications are due next week. We usually start a little early. So we're excited to get into interviewing the class of 2027. And I also have a request from my principal, Cecilia Framartino. She is currently in charge of the senior internship, which is a 3-week experience for our students at the end of the year from April to May, where they can hopefully see how a particular business functions. So they volunteer 30 hours a week. Yeah, Natalia unfortunately can't do it. Service learning can't do it, unfortunately, but they are the exception to this. Yeah. But for 3 weeks, the students will volunteer 30 hours a week at a business that they are interested in. The goal is to just let them know what's out there outside of high school. And Cecilia has been working this year to try and put together a database of businesses that might be interested, or organizations, nonprofits. I reached out to Friends of the Hudson Parks. So if you have anybody that you think might be interested in potentially taking on a student, I have letters from Cecilia that will explain the program a little bit more. And also she has a Google form that would need to be filled out to go out to the student. So if anyone is interested, please come find me. I can give you that letter, and I can also give you my email if that helps. But I have the pleasure today of introducing Natalia. She is one of the best, natural speakers, charismatic. She's so incredibly kind. She participates all the time in class. And she is impressive in class, but to see her at site is somehow even more so. I don't want to take too much away from her, but she was at a Head Start her first semester, and the speed with which she integrated herself into that classroom was impressive. She is one of the kindest, sweetest students that I've met in a very long time, and it is my pleasure to introduce her to you today.
Hi, my name is Natalia Musone, and obviously I'm a service learning student. I'm a senior this year, and I was so lucky to already talk to a lot of you guys. So yes, I started at a Head Start last semester, and I can confidently say that it was one of the most life-changing experiences. So I was somewhere where you call it EHS, so early Head Start. It was, the youngest girl I had in my class was 18 years old. And I've never been around anybody that age, other than when I was that age. But, so once you turned 3, you moved up to regular Head Start. So, okay, like I said, I've never been around anybody that age. So I was really nervous, but watching these basically babies grow up and just learn basic human functions was so cool and crazy. I taught them how to brush their teeth, wash their hands, eat, things like that. I'm like, that's crazy. I don't remember having to do any of that. So it's it all just came natural to me, but I know I had to do it at one point. So yes, so then I found out I was going to hospice. So that's where I'm at now, Traditions Health. And I'll be honest, at first I was a little bit scared because I just went to all these babies, and now it's gonna be a whole different thing. And unfortunately, I haven't yet to meet any of my patients, but I believe next week I finally am, so wish me luck, I'm so excited. But I think over break, I really took a completely different mindset going into it. I truly now believe that I'm one of the luckiest service learning students, and I get the best placements because I get to see 2 completely different stages of life, beginning and end. And it's so beautiful, and it's sad a little bit, but I mean, it's still beautiful. And I'm so lucky that I get to see this perspective, two different completely perspectives, all in the span of like a year. That's so crazy. So I'm so excited to just dive right in and get to know my patients and just kind of completely make that switch, because unfortunately, these patients have been given 6 months or less to live. So, like I said, it's a completely different transition from seeing babies grow up and see what this world to offer to unfortunately preparing to leave it. So I'm really excited, but wish me luck. And I do truly mean it when I say I want to continue service when I go to college. I'm planning on going to Kent State University for fashion merchandising and majoring in marketing. I know I don't really look it right now, but I swear I love fashion. And it's true. I wear heels to school basically every day. Yeah. But I'm really excited to just continue service and continue to grow and learn. And this program has meant genuinely so much to me. And I'm so glad to have such a good support system. Obviously, they're here and they're supporting me. Like, they're amazing. So tell your grandkids to sign up because it's so good. It's such a good program. Anyways, thank you so much for letting me speak. I really appreciate it. Here you go.
Thank you, Natalia. And I have to say, I don't always get to know all of the kids as well as I have this year because Jamie was out. So I did kind of double time a lot of times with college essays, and that's where I first got to know Natalia. But she really is a light, and during our fall trip, she made it her purpose to get a picture of every kid at camp, and she did. And she took, clearly, hands down, the best camp pictures ever, and it was such a selfless and thoughtful thing, and it was really nice to see even the quieter kids who aren't always throwing themselves in pictures saw that they got captured. So we're really thankful that Natalia is a part of our class this year. And Chelsea, who hopefully will come next month when she's feeling better. And lastly, I want to thank all of you again for your continued support and coming in for the kindness projects and for the policy projects. I have a big stack of thank yous from the kids for the policy projects, and next month we'll bring the ones from the kindness projects, but we kind of haven't seen our kids since they delivered it because it's been really cold and really snowy. So we're working on those, and we'll get those to you soon. Thanks again, and our spring overnight is April 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Is that right, Britt? Yes. Of April, and we would love to have you come out and join us. So thanks. We'll see you next month.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Brittany. Natalia, wow. Man, you are a dynamo. You really are. I'm actually half tempted to have you just come up here and finish the meeting because I don't know if I can follow that or not. So, but great job, and it was really great to hear your experiences, and it is very touching too that you take that to heart about not only the beginning of life but being there at end of life because your personality, your spirit, just your energy, which you have tons of in abundance, is really going to be a part of those people's, final days and give them something really special and memorable to hold on to. So thank you very much for being here. So with that, we will now slide into our weekly presentation. I'd like to ask Catherine, who has put our presentations this month together. Can we have a round of applause for Catherine for her work? And I will allow Catherine now to take the stage and introduce our speakers. So thank you, Catherine.
Good morning, Rotarians. I have a bio here, but before I go into the bio, some of you might recognize Steve. He brought his two boys, a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, to Santa on the Green. And his 7-year-old son impressed Santa. And I think that Santa tried to challenge him, and the little guy did an awesome job. I think he wanted books on gray matter and black holes. And Santa started asking this little guy questions, and he's answering them. And Santa asked him, yeah, I read this book once, and the little guy says, yeah, I have that book. And I looked at his dad, and I said, what do you do? And he says, I'm a professor at Akron. And I said, in science? Because I'm, and he said, no. And I said, you got to feed this little guy. I mean, you got to get him information. He was impressive. So that started our conversation, and that's how I got Steve here today to speak to us. But he's not talking about gray matter. Steve has been an instructional designer for 20 years and is a senior instructional designer and strategic initiative coordinator at the University of Akron. Through his experience, he has been able to help grow online programs as well as provide insight and guidance into the online course development process. He specializes in working one-on-one with faculty members to help them create dynamic, well-designed, objective-focused courses, and frequently coaches faculty on the use of AI in academia and on educational technology. He is also the owner and operator of photography of Kaufman Photography here in Hudson. Steve, please join me. Thank you. Absolutely, thank you. You don't need this, do you?
I will try and see if this works.
I turned it off.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me today. I hate standing behind a podium. I'm a pacer. Anybody here a pacer in the room? Definitely that way. I'm going to take some of your energy and just like feed me. If I get stuck or I forget what I'm going to say, I'm just going to look at you and tell you, all right? Very cool. So yeah, Catherine, thank you for the invitation. A lot of what I do on a daily basis is just help faculty members figure out how to survive in this digital world. COVID helped, frankly, because everybody had to think about how do I deliver education? How do I think about doing all the things I used to be able to drive to a physical location and do? And now translate that into now I have to go onto a website and I have to call somebody or I have to fill out a form. And it can be really overwhelming. So I wanted to put together a presentation to help you think through kind of the exposure that you might have with regards to something called your digital footprint. And how might you manage that to make sure that the information about you that's online is the right kind of information and not stuff that you don't want people to find. So, for example, let me say that one of the big statistics that we share with faculty is that 95% of cybersecurity breaches are due to something that the user did. We have a fun saying, back when I used to work on the IT side of the house, we had the acronym PEBCAC, problem exists between computer and chair. So it's usually because we click on that link in an email, or we download that attachment, or something bad happens, we get something on our computer and we have to take it to your IT professional to clean it up. So what does it actually mean? And do we have like a working definition of managing a digital footprint? Really, just think of it as like the trail of data that you leave online. Think about yourself, walking through the woods. You're leaving footprints. Every website you go to, every link that you click on. So your privacy, security, reputation, ensuring your public image reflects what you want it to, limiting sharing, adjusting your privacy settings, cleaning up old accounts, maybe not just clicking that button that says I accept when that pops up on your website, right? What does that even mean? We'll talk about that. So, quick disclaimer. That all sounds like really high-flying stuff. And I'm here to tell you, it's not meant to scare you in any way, shape, or form. It's just, I want the presentation to really be a way for you to understand your exposure and how you might mitigate that. So just to teach you how to be safe when you engage in online activity. Now, your digital footprint stays online pretty much forever. 20, 30 years ago, probably not a really big idea because we didn't do as much stuff online. But how many of you right now pay all of your bills online? Most all of you. How many of you are still writing checks? A couple of you. My dad's still writing checks. And he doesn't trust his mailbox outside his house, so he will go to the post office and drop it in there. I'm like, Dad, online banking, oh, it's so much better. Why are you doing this? It's more for me just trying to like make his life more simple. How do we manage this? Can we delete the things that are online? Are they gone when they're gone? Better yet, how do we educate ourselves and the people that we care about to manage their digital footprint? So when I say that things that are online stay online, how long is forever? How far back exactly? Well, has anyone ever seen the Wayback Machine? A couple of you. It's really fun. Go onto like a techie website, go to like Wayback Machine, just Google it, and then type in like apple.com and see like what was popular in the year 2000. Remember iPods? Everybody, all the commercials with the little, the white earbud. Now it's all, I can't see students on the Akron campus. I swear I've seen them like looking at their phone, walk right into a trash can, into a pole, whatever it happens to be. So we're plugged in. But I was curious, so I looked up the Hudson website, and I said, well, what did the Hudson website look like in the year 2001? Anybody remember this gem? This is the original Hudson website through the Wayback Machine. That was it. That's all you could have on the website. So that's 2001. Here's 2005. You can see kind of the evolution of our town over time. Here is 2010. We're making some progress. That's a very long list to navigate. That's probably not good web design, but we'll work on that. And then this was in 2020. You even had the little pandemic message up in the upper left-hand corner. So all of these snapshots exist for almost all of the mainstream websites, and not even mainstream websites. The Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive is archiving all of these pages. So if you said something online, if you had posted something on a blog, it's very likely that even though that website is no longer on the internet, it's in the archive. Okay, that's how we recreate things to be able to find out, well, how did things evolve over time? So you have to be careful about what you're posting. What kind of information is included in my digital footprint? What kind of trail am I leaving? Well, basic contact information, you can Google anybody, right? Property ownership, you can go to Zillow. You can go to find out where a property is located, how much you paid for that, what your taxes are on that, what's your current home value. Does anybody look up their house on Zillow and kind of see? Especially when you see the neighbor's house go on sale and you're like, I wonder how much they got for that house. Is that going to raise my value because I'm a comparable property? Like all of this stuff exists. Criminal history is online, marriage, divorce records, bankruptcies, your educational background, employment history, all your social media posts are typically publicly available because we don't know any better. Any locations that you visited. One of the funny things that we do at Akron, well, not really a funny thing, but we have online proctoring, right, where you have to have a secure web browser and a webcam on you if you're taking an online exam, if it's like a high-stakes thing. And we had a faculty member call me one day and said, Steve, for whatever reason, I see like different IP addresses all over the place, like 20 different addresses while the student was taking the quiz. Does that mean the student was like changing locations? And we're scratching our heads. And what it wound up being was when I plotted the IP addresses in Google Maps, I was going through and saying, oh, the person was in the backseat of a car and connecting to all the cell towers going down I-71 from Cleveland to Columbus. So I'm like, and they were taking a fully online proctored exam. Not the ideal testing environment. I wouldn't say secure. Yeah, luckily, hopefully not driving. I've seen faculty put their webcam on the dashboard. I'm like, don't do a video conference call from your dashboard. And then, of course, surveillance video. So anytime something happens in the news, unfortunately, what is the first thing the police ask the public? Do you have like a Ring doorbell? Do you have a security camera over your garage? Is there any way that we can kind of recreate who was there, what had happened, what's going on? So you have retail stores. Every time you go to an ATM, it's taking your picture. Traffic cameras can see if you sped through that red light. Do not take a right turn around the Charter Bank. Remember, as they stop on red, I always look at that camera right there, and I'm like, that's not me. And of course, cell phone media, right? We all have a high-definition camera, most of us, in our pockets. And so all of these things are contributing to that digital footprint. What does this mean? There's a lot of content out there about you that you may not even know that it was in existence. I call this your digital shadow, right? You're not really aware of it unless you're looking directly at it, right? Kind of like your real shadow. So bank records, your credit card purchase history, info about your web searches, it cuts both ways. It's not always a bad thing. Anybody here have a Costco membership? Costco's great, right? You know the nice thing about Costco is you never need your receipt because they have your entire purchase history. You can't use somebody else's credit card if you're trying to I'm trying to bring my dad over to Costco and I'm like, I'll buy that for you. Just give me your card. And no, your credit card is tied to your account, and that's how they can look up something if you need to make a return. So that's part of this whole thing, and you have to consent to it if you want to shop at Costco. What does Google know about you? This is really fun. Does anybody here have do they ever go into their phone and say, okay, Google? Or you have like an Alexa little thing in your kitchen about like, hey, Alexa, what's the weather today? If you want to freak out your friends, what you do is you go to someone's house, usually during a dinner party, and you say, hey, Alexa, set 3 a.m. alarm with horror movie sounds. And then, well, I should go out. That's the best prank you can do. There's a techie prank for you. But what you do is you go to myaccount.google.com, and you click on data and privacy, and it will tell you, these are all the websites, this is what we know about you. It'll give you like the demographic, like you're a 40-year-old male that resides in Hudson, Ohio, blah, 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 blah. It'll have an audio log of all of the things you ever asked it, and it'll play back for you the audio clips that you set into your phone or your Google-enabled device. And you can clear that history if you want to. I recommend doing that. Now, this is why you get targeted ads. You know, when you go on the internet and you think, yeah, maybe, you know, it's January in Ohio, maybe I'm going to go on a Caribbean cruise. And so you Google, you know, on Royal Caribbean's website, you know, whatever cruise, and then notice that all of the ads on every single website that follow you around the internet are now Royal Caribbean ads or whatever website you went to. And so that's that trail. That's right there in front of your face of why that happens. So yeah, you can go through, you can pause your timeline history. Every video you've ever watched on YouTube, if you were signed into YouTube, there's a history trail there so you can find it. That's helpful when you can't remember, what was the name of that video again? You can just go into your history right on your main account. You can download your data, you can back it up, and of course you can make a plan for something called your digital legacy. I love that, Natalia, that you're working kind of in like the hospice area, because we often don't think about the trail that we leave behind after we physically leave, right? So think about all of those posts, all those videos that you had, all those things. What happens to that data after you're gone? You can also plan for that in Google. They're so nice, helping us think about the hereafter. Here's the thing to remember, okay? It's always, you know, Google is a billion-dollar company. Why are they a billion-dollar company? Is it because you have to pay them $1 every time you Google something? No. It's because if the service is free, who's the product? You. Your data. That's why Facebook, that's why Amazon, that's why Google are very, very big about not protecting your data and being able to share that. Notice the European Union has figured this out. America, not so much. So be cognizant of that, right? If there's no such thing as a free lunch, this is it right here. And it's all of the social media that you touch. It's YouTube. I'm not really a TikTok guy, but you know, TikTok has all of your user data. That's why the government was so concerned about it. Instagram, Facebook, we put a lot of stuff. Pro tip, don't post that you're on vacation while you're on vacation, because what that does is it tells everybody that you're not at your house. Probably for a week or two. You're in Europe or you're on a cruise, there's no way for you to be able to protect anything. So be careful about when you post when you get back. Hey, the trip was great, past tense. Is this a bad thing? Not always, right? How many of you have like Spotify or like Apple Music or something like that? It's nice to discover new music based on what the algorithm knows about what you like to listen to. So if you like classical music, it'll recommend additional composers. If you like rock and roll, you like whatever's popular on the radio, it'll keep that playlist going for you. Amazon recommends books and products it thinks you like to a fault, especially around the holidays. Another pro tip, if you want to get a discount from a retailer, okay, this is a really good one. Put the item that you want to buy in your shopping cart and then just leave it there and then wait like a month, okay? You'll start to get coupons to get you to close the deal, okay? It's a great tactic, usually 25 to 35% off. It's the software's ability to say, I bet I could get Tom to buy that thing, that new neck massager, or whatever it is. I bet he'll do it if I just give him that coupon. And usually they can do it. It will convert you into a sale. So that's a tactic that a lot of retailers will use. You can get automatic reminders for medication, bills, subscriptions. That's really nice. How many of you will not buy anything expensive online unless you've read reviews on it first? It's like, I want this new coffee maker on Amazon, and I want to read the best review, and I want to read the 1-star review, so I know, is this coffee maker going to blow up on my kitchen counter? So we are so used to doing that, right? Because we want to be able to feel like we made a confident decision. So it's not always a bad thing. You've probably heard of these things called cookies online, right? You get this little pop-up as soon as you get to a website. Oh, I have to make a decision. What do I click on? Do I reject everything? Well, now the website won't work. If I hit accept, that's all of my data. Go for it. Use it, resell it. I don't know where it went, all of those things. But if you click on customize, almost always there's a box that says only the essentials. Basically just remembering that you were at that website and they're not allowed to go and distribute your data past that. So a good thing to do is if they give you the option to customize, if you ever get this pop-up on a website, click on that button first. Don't just hit blindly accept all. And look at what data it's trying to have. Because it'll say, oh, you know, you give us permission to resell your data to a third-party reseller. And now your stuff is all over the internet. Okay? Now, it's interesting here because Pew Research talks about how much internet do we really, like in the standard population, you know, the typical American population, how much of us actually are using the phone? 41% now in 2025, almost constantly. And I can resonate with that. My entire life is right here on my smartphone, right? Every appointment, every calendar item, today's meeting right here for Rotary, it's all on my phone, right? We were so tied to these things. 43% are several times a day. And that several times a week, less often, that number is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until it probably will be non-existent. It's really hard to even go to the airport and take a flight without your cell phone because you need it for check-in and you need the little QR code that you ding at the gate entry. So what's interesting, though, and something that we try to advocate for when we're talking to faculty members or any group that's interested in this, is that we're trying to make sure that even though you might be confident in your knowledge of cybersecurity, what we find is that the older you get, maybe the less concerned you are about it. 65 plus, only 35% at least knowledgeable about privacy or cybersecurity topics. I mean, and it might not be in your wheelhouse. You know, my dad sold health insurance for 35 years in Columbus. He would brag to me that he was the last person in the agency to get a computer. And I remember one time in high school, the power went out, and he went and he called me up. He's like, "I was the only guy that could do my job because all my files were all in my file cabinets and on my desk." I'm like, "Dad, that's not a good thing. You could have had a free day off, right? Instead, you're the last guy working. Great job." So it kind of cuts both ways, right? And here's what's also interesting. Yeah, when we kind of look at the Venn diagram here, this middle of concerned about companies and how they use their data, but usually about half of us skip the privacy policies. When was the last time you ever read the terms of service for anything? Not seeing, for those of you on TV, nobody raised their hand in the room. I'm guilty of that too, because it's all written in legalese. Nobody can really understand it. It's kind of amorphous. And so it's not really surprising, right? We don't make it easily understandable. Anybody remember when this commercial came out?
457-555-5462. If you've ever worried about identity theft, it's time you got to know LifeLock.
I'm Todd Davis, and I'm here to prove just how safe your identity can be with LifeLock. That's my real social security number.
You're nuts, man. Leading the way in identity theft prevention, LifeLock helps keep your personal information safe, even in the wrong hands.
This is crazy. If anything happens while you're a client of LifeLock, we will cover all losses and all expenses up to $1 million.
Oh, up to $1 million. That's pretty good. Well, what happened to this poor guy? He got hacked 13 times. So the problem is, even if you farm this out to a LifeLock or ID Shield or one of these other companies that do credit monitoring, those kind of things, it's not 100%. The point here is we have to be diligent, and we have to make sure that we're being careful and concerned about the things that we put online. Yeah, he put it all over America, and yeah, his identity was stolen 13 times. So yeah, exactly. So the reality is that we live much of our lives online, whether you want to or not. We're kind of in this digital frontier, and AI only complicates things. I think this is attributed to Hemingway, or if you're in the art world, Banksy, but he talked about how every man has two deaths, right? When you're buried in the ground and the last time someone says his name. But this is now kind of changing, that there's kind of like this third death that happens, where anything that we've created is lost or forgotten. You have a digital legacy. Who manages all of your Facebook profile, anything you put on YouTube, any media that you've created, any articles that you've written? How does that get managed when I'm not around to manage it myself? It's not usually something we ever think about. But it's a good idea to start thinking about it because that might be of importance to you or your family. I have faculty members that have passed away that I've worked with, and like as a courtesy, I used to burn a DVD of all of the person's lectures and send it to their spouse so you would hear their voice and be able to have like a digital legacy in that regard. Now it's all online, and I download an archive and send it to them just because it's a nice to have, right? But we don't think about those things until it's too late, until they get deleted off the server. So just something to always think about. So what can you do? The best thing I'd say is bring it up. Advocate, talk to politicians, talk to local representatives, say, hey, why don't we have this thing called GDPR like the European Union has? There was a big court case a long time ago where there was a gentleman, I believe he was in Spain, and he was going for a bank loan and kept getting denied because the first thing you would Google about the guy was that he had filed for bankruptcy. And it was dogging him for like 15 years, right? And so he had sued the online searching agencies like Google and said, hey, do I have a right to be forgotten? Like, can we not talk about the bankruptcy? I'm now financially stable. I need this bank loan to be able to start the next chapter, start my business, whatever it is. The European Union said, yeah, you do have a right to be forgotten. And so now after so many years, you have the ability to appeal, and you can ask Google to erase all of your data regarding you so you can get a fresh start in your online life. And that could be the big difference between you being able to start a business or not. The United States doesn't have that. The only thing we do is we tell companies that they're not allowed to collect data for users who are 13 years or younger. That's it. Other than that, it is the wild, wild west with what happens to your data. And that puts like a little pit in my stomach of like, oh gosh, we really need to protect people a little bit better. So we'll see how this rolls out in future policy making. What else can I do? Be aware and be vigilant. Google yourself. Has anybody done that? You don't have to admit it, but we Google ourselves. What's the first thing that comes up? It's probably your Facebook profile. That is the first thing that pops up. So I usually set my Facebook profile to just friends. So I'm just not publicly searchable. Control your footprint, modify your profile, be careful commenting on other people's websites. But there's also a flip side to this. Say, for example, you filed for bankruptcy 20 years ago. Okay, and that is still somewhere on the internet. As I'm generating all of this new stuff, if I'm commenting on a website, I have a personal blog, I have a company profile on my company's website, I have Facebook posts. All of that stuff, because it's recent, shows up on the first couple pages of Google search results. And all the stuff about like a bankruptcy or something like a divorce or whatever it is, that becomes later on in the search history, and I stamp that down. So you can control your footprint by having a well-managed digital footprint that you control about the data that you're posting online. The biggest thing that I tell my students when I teach like freshman students at Akron is think before you click. Okay, it might be really fun to like have that visceral response to that YouTube video that you saw online, but be careful about that. Employers will Google you, and they will look up your Facebook profile, and they will want to know, are you the person in Greek life that's drinking every weekend and doing all this crazy stuff? That might not be the personality that we want in our corporate, suit and tie type of environment. Untag yourself. People tag you in the photo. Oh, I don't want to be associated with that. You can untag yourself. Facebook will allow you to do that, so it's harder to find that image of what's going on. It's good to know. Remember that standard practice is that if you're ever needing tech support with really anything, with any company, IT is never supposed to ask you for a password, ever. They're the IT. They can look it up. They'll figure it out. They'll figure out how to get you in or send you a password reset or whatever it is. So if anybody ever asks you for that, that's red flag number one. Don't ever give out your password. Be wary to say your credit card over the phone. I don't like that at all. A lot of times, like it'll be like a magazine subscription or something. Like, oh, okay. Can you just give me your credit card? Can you send me like a payment portal or like a payment link, and I can pay you through PayPal or whatever it is? That's a lot safer, because how do you know someone's not just writing down your number? You're giving them that little security code on the back of your card. You're giving them the expiration date and all 16 digits or whatever it is. So ask if you can get an electronic invoice. Use complex passwords. Oh my gosh, we trick faculty on this all the time. I had one faculty member before we enforced, this was at another university, so I won't make Akron take the hit for this one. At another university I used to work with, someone set their password to the capital letter A. And I'm like, that's genius. No one would ever think that you had just one letter for your password. Obviously easy to hack. Now we have password requirements, right? They have to be so long, they have to have a number and a symbol and all that stuff. You know what I like to recommend? Use a sentence. Because a sentence is really hard, like, I like traveling to Florida, with a capital F exclamation point at the end. Perfect. That is a hard to guess password. Make it a little harder than that. But using a sentence is easy for you to remember, and it's not this random letters and numbers that you have to write down on your Post-it note. I cannot tell you how many consultations I do where I see the faculty members, every password for every website Post-it noted. It looks like the Lion King mane around their monitor in their office. Not secure, right? You don't want to have your password out like that. And then, of course, run the updates on your computer. We're all guilty of it. We hit ignore or next time. Those security updates are important. Run those. And of course, beware of things that are suspicious in terms of links or attachments. When you roll over a link with your mouse, it'll tell you where that link is going to go. If you got a link from Chase Bank, and then you roll over the mouse and it's linking to some website that you've never heard of before, don't click the link. Don't click attachments that you're not expecting. If it's travel documents or something like that, I expect to get that from like a travel agent. But if this is some random person on the internet, no, I'm not going to download that PDF to my computer. That's the #1 way to get a virus or something on your computer. Okay? So, just want to say thank you. Hopefully that wasn't too scary, but just some things to think about. And I think, Catherine, do we have time for some questions? Yeah. What kind of questions do you have? Yes, Natalia. Oh, you're on the record now.
Do you want me to just like...
You're good.
Okay, well, I have a lot of social media.
Yeah.
Like, I have it all, generally. Think about it, I have it. So, let's say I were to, like, delete some social media, just because, like, that scared me. I don't want everybody to know my information. Is there literally, like, anything I can do to, like, get my information off of the internet, or like, I don't know. Like, what would I do? That's how much.
So great question. So how do you manage the social media that you have, your current footprint? Go into the settings, your account settings, and on almost all of your, if this is TikTok, this is YouTube, this is Insta, whatever it is, go into your settings and just change your profile. You don't have to delete your entire history. That's like all the memories that you've made, right? And you want to see those things, and your friends want to see those things, but I don't want my future employer to see all of those things, or people who it's none of your business, right? People are very busybody online. So go into your profile and just set it to like just contacts only or friends only. I see this a lot of times. I will be on like a hiring committee. So here's some inside baseball for you. If you're ever on like a hiring committee, one of the things we kind of do is we go and we check your digital footprint. And I'll see that if someone is really good at it, I'll see that their profile was public one day, and then they'll know that they're in the pool to be hired, and they'll turn off everything, and then I can't find it anymore. So they're wise to that. Same advice to you as you're just about to start your college career or just about to enter the workforce, whatever that future is for you. Managing that and just setting, just a simple change this to, you can say don't sell my data, you have that right, and you can also say just only people that I already have connection with. And that's probably the best way to limit the impact that you have online immediately. Great question. Other questions? Yeah, O'Brien?
You mentioned that Google, or that you can request Google delete stuff. Do we have guarantees that Google actually deletes that stuff, or is it just kind of like trust me?
That's it's kind of that trust but verify kind of mentality. So there's nothing that you have to request from Google. You can manage it yourself. You just go like log into your Gmail account. I have like 4 Gmail accounts. Like I've got some for my business. I've got my personal one. I have the shared one that my wife and I use when we got married. Another pro tip, if you don't want to get spammed by vendors for the rest of your life, have a throwaway email address that you sign up for all the junk. Like, oh yeah, I'll join your mailing list if you give me the 10% coupon today, right? Yeah, put that not on your main email. And yeah, so what you do is just go to myaccount.google.com, sign in, and then just go into those data privacy settings, and then you can at least look at the data first, and you're like, yeah, you know, you guys don't need to know that about me. Just hit delete. It should be gone, and then when you let it, I tell faculty, wait 24 hours, and then Google yourself and see what comes up. Yeah.
Gina, do you want to say anything?
Going right down the line.
It's going down the line.
That's right.
Well, I know I'm terrified now.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm also old enough to remember when the Wayback Machine was Mr. Peabody and Sherman from the old Rocky and Bullwinkle.
There we go.
But one of the search engines out there, I think it's called DuckDuckGo, says it doesn't collect your information.
Correct.
Is that true, or is it still something that you
Yep.
have to be concerned about?
I love DuckDuckGo. In fact, this is a really good thing. So if I open up my web browser on my phone, the first website that comes up is not Google, it's DuckDuckGo. So I like to protect that too. So this is a non-tracked search engine, which doesn't sell your data and doesn't track you across websites. So the nice thing is, if I'm looking to shop for something, I typically will start that process through DuckDuckGo because I don't want every ad on every website to be the thing I was looking for. So that is a really good tactic. And that's their whole marketing strategy is like, hey, we're the one search engine that doesn't do what everybody else does. So yeah, you're right on it. That's great. Mm-hmm. It's just duck. Remember like Duck, Duck, Goose? That we used to play? It's just duck, duck, go. Yep. And typically on your phone, there's some settings where you can tell your phone, either Apple or Android, what is your preferred web browser. Typically, DuckDuckGo is one of the options. So you can switch it off of Google and make it that instead. And it's just as good as Google. It's just not having all of the extra data privacy problems.
So, one can testify the dangers. On Facebook, I made a comment on someone's posting, and then all of a sudden, some reporter, or supposed reporter, was citing me, quoting me, but never contacted me, and completely out of context.
Right.
And so now I'm trying to find it so I can at least delete it. You know?
Yeah.
I realize it's there for perpetuity, but you know,
Yeah.
at least.
Well, depending on the site, typically you can find it
So
if you can.
Facebook, somehow it's.
Yeah, you should be able to track it down and be able to delete a post. Now, does that stop somebody from screen capping it and having it kind of out there in the universe? Not really. That's still possible.
That,
Yeah.
So unintended.
That's a thing.
The question I have, so I actually sort of oversaw an IT part of our office.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sensitive, you know. I see something that says, oh, you got to pay this bill immediately.
Right.
You know, not doing that. But every once in a while I'll get caught, I'll click, and then I'm on some site, and I realize, no, it's a bad site.
Yeah.
Leave. Is there anything I should do immediately after that if I realize
Back out of the site, and if that email is suspicious, report it as spam. So that way you're kind of helping everybody else by identifying that sender as not legit. And then it'll just go to people's junk mail instead of their main inbox.
anything I should do on my computer?
Do you have virus software? Like antivirus software? Just run a scan. Yeah, typically you're okay. Usually just going to a website is not going to put something on your computer, typically. It's when you download something off of the site. So usually like a link to an attachment, a link to a zip file, oh, those are bad. Just be careful with that. But yeah, typically, you know, like, oh, that was not what I was expecting. Close out of it, run the virus scan, you should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, typically good. Yeah, run those updates on your computer, really important.
You have any other questions for Steve? Is everybody terrified like I am?
Don't be scared. I gave you some pro tips.
I know you did, but still, just scary stuff, especially with this AI.
It can be, yeah, it can be. Cool.
All right, Marilyn, do you have something? All right.
You brought up that the European Union is taking this a completely different approach than we have. How long have they been doing that, and what actually started it all?
Just like the example I gave with the gentleman that was just trying to be able to get a bank loan, but couldn't because his Google history, when you Google this gentleman, was all of the stuff that is no longer relevant to his life. So that sparked a lot of litigation that happened, and in 2018 is when it's called GDPR. is the law. And all of the American websites have to comply with that. Because if you have an international audience, if you're selling to people all over the world, we have to respect the European Union. So what's crazy, if you're in Spain and I'm in Ohio and we both go to the same website, you're protected, I'm not. Isn't that crazy?
The American companies have been paying fines as well, haven't they?
They have.
So fairly large fines.
Yes, into the Facebook, Facebook, Google, both. I mean, they make so much money that paying $1 million here or there just for them to maintain the status quo is acceptable to them. They'll just keep paying the court fees and to litigate.
I'm assuming that they have a heavy lobbying presence in DC?
Absolutely. Well, I'm not going to get political or anything, but there were a lot of tech guys at the inauguration, right? Like Bezos was right there, Mark Zuckerberg was right there. These are the people that stand to benefit from selling your data. That's their whole business. It's not just the products on the shelf, it's your data.
Real quickly, you're talking about like the protections that you have in other countries and so forth. I keep hearing about, I don't know what the technical term is, I don't know if it's VPN or something. It's where you can like, actually make it look like you're in another country.
Yeah.
They say you can do that for like Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix in Spain might have
different content.
Yeah. You can do. What's that about, and would you be able to get certain protections if you use something like that and said that you were in Spain as opposed to the United States?
Yeah. So what we're referring to is something called a VPN, or a virtual private network. And there's ads for all of these online. One that's really popular is Nord, N-O-R-D, VPN. And essentially what it does is it just makes your computer on the internet look like it's not where you're currently sitting. It makes it look like you're in another country. So if I want to watch something from Europe, or if I want to watch something from Asia, Australia, whatever it is, I can say my computer now resides in this country, and then I can get access to things. That's how individuals who live in other countries that have limited internet access, not free open, because the government limits them, you can typically VPN and make it look like your computer is outside of that country, and then you can access the open web, right? Because sometimes it's all about control. So, yeah, a VPN is a great way to do that if you do a lot of, like if you do a lot of media consumption and you want to see like what other countries can watch, yeah, you can certainly use that. If you do a lot of internet traffic, like different transactions, those kind of things online, using a VPN is a good way to protect your data. And it's all secured, so people can't see what the traffic actually is.
Good enough, thank you. See, I know stuff.
You do.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Okay.
Everybody's checking their phones.
I think everyone's switching over to that.
Switch over to that DuckDuckGo, yeah.
What could you tell us about AI and threats from this new kind of frontier?
Yeah. That's a whole nother presentation. Catherine, bring me back to talk about AI. Yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. AI is big data as well, right? It's just a lot faster big data. So, the thing that my faculty members are freaking out, what all teachers should be freaking out about is, did my student just use ChatGPT to write their entire paper? And did I see that in my own class that I taught in the fall? Yes, I did. But I told my students, if you're going to use AI, make sure you cite it, be able to back up what it's saying, and then give me, I had them write an explainer as to why they feel that their thought, what they've written, represents their genuine thought, and not just what the AI had. AI is helpful on the hacking side because I can write something in AI and say, hit that website 10,000 times with every combination of a password that I can think of, and it will just do it. It's not easy to do. You got to be kind of a programmer and a techie for that. But you've seen things like deep fakes. You've seen people who, that you can replicate someone's voice now. If you've seen, there is a website called Unspeecher that even Disney uses. And so if they have an actor or actress that has passed away, they can feed the AI their voice and their likeness, and then create new audio, new video based off of historical stuff. That's how they de-aged Mark Hamill for The Mandalorian. Yeah. Spoiler alert. But, so, what's that? It could have been just Sebastian Stan. That would have worked. It would have looked good. But yeah, so the technology's out there. I'd say it's moving so fast. I don't think any of us have really figured out exactly what the potential currently is. I know that there's a lot of risks, so just be careful. If you go into ChatGPT, it remembers everything you ever asked it, right? It's got the context. Can you delete that data? Yes, you can. That's in the privacy settings. So look at those things and see if you don't want that to be on there or resold in the future, even though that might not be what they're doing now. They're about to go public. They have plans to raise a lot of capital. What do you think their main marketing deck is going to be? We have the data of over how many millions of Americans or however many people in the world using ChatGPT. So that's an asset that they have on their books. And so we have to be worried about that. Let's not make it easy for them.
And so I'm scared again. So with that, can we have a round of applause for Steve?
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Welcome. All righty. Hey, so do we have any announcements from the club? Anybody want to make any special announcements before we conclude the meeting? I'm going to take that as a no. So we, again, just to remind everybody that next week we will be back here in the auditorium for our club presentation. We do, again, also have the foundation board meeting, which will be held just here in a few minutes out in the dining hall if you would like to attend. We have our Rotobuck raffle. So we have a whopping payout of $6 and a jackpot of $106. So, Steve, you're going to have I know this is a little low tech, but we're just going to have you pick out the ticket.
Okay, and the lucky winner is 324-2207. Winner, winner. There we go. Thank you for the honor.
Thank you. Okay, we can confirm the black marble is in there. Oh, so we continue to move forward. Okay, so with that, we will conclude our meeting with the inspirational quote of the week, and this one comes from a gentleman by the name of Seneca, who was a prominent Roman Stoic philosopher, statesman, dramatist, and advisor to the Roman Emperor Nero. Obviously, he did not advise him on fire safety. So, with that, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. So with that, I conclude our meeting for the week. Thank you.